Braxcast time once again. This is the 33rd episode of the Braxcast, and we've got more fandom stuff to cover. Horseman is still going strong over about $640,000, uh, just under 11,000 total purchasers for that. And we've got if I can get it here, a new poster is announced and part of the collection. So the poster that came with the collection initially is a smaller poster, but this is a full-size 24 by 36, which is what people really gravitate towards and like for posters. I've got a bunch of the Rippaverse posters. I haven't taken them out of their tubes yet. I want to get a bunch of frames and have a studio eventually. So that'll be my basically Rippaverse shrine that I will build out one day with all the posters I've been getting, because I get the I Want It All bundles just ad nauseum with that. But this is a full-size poster. Cannon White is doing the art. It's showing Horseman in his full brutal glory, as you would love to see him. And it's also the first Rippaverse poster that's spot UV treated. So the fans wanted a full-size poster. It was something that was very feasible for them to add, and now it's here. And also, spot UV treatment is also a really nice thing. And of course, another piece of artwork by the wonderful Cannon White is not something I'm going to not go for any day of the week. So this is a fantastic piece of art. It's great that the fans have a full-size poster for the Horseman, and of course that collection is still going strong, and we are going to be getting our hands on that book starting sometime next month at the latest. So it's really exciting time for the Rippaverse, but we're still on the eve of that new book, and of course we're building up towards that 1 book a month release schedule. And when we get that, that's when we're really going to get cooking with the Rippaverse, and I'll be having so much more stuff to talk about on the Braxcast really consistently, more so than I already have. But before we get into the news concerning the fandom, I want to talk about the question of the day that does concern Horseman. So what would a Horseman video game look like, and how would it play? So there's a lot of different games you can make for the Horseman, or for the Rippaverse in general. And I've talked about this before on previous episodes of the Braxcast about what you can do for a Rippaverse video game, but specifically, for Horseman, because this is what this question of the day concerns. I definitely think that you could make a really simple, low-budget beat-em-up style game, or shoot-em-up style game, something like a Contra, and that would be a really cool low budget thing for the fans to really have some sort of game out there really quickly. But of course you want something that's a bit more than that, especially with how big games are these days, with how expensive a lot of them have gotten in terms of production, and people want like that really nice AAA or at least AA experience, something like a Black Myth Wukong being more in the realm of AA than AAA, right? And of course now you've got quadruple A with games where they just spend the money and you don't see where it goes really. But that's a whole other discussion. So I think if we're talking about like a 3D game that's more in the realm of being a AA game, or at least a bigger indie title, having a Horseman game like Sifu, and I know saying Isom, having an Isom game like Sifu would be really cool. But basically this third person closed level where you're basically just close quarters combat and basically using fists, and of course Horseman's got the bats and other blunt weapons as well, and then you could have gunplay inserted into that as well. And I think that would be a really cool thing. You could take the basic gameplay loop of Sifu and modify it a little bit to make it work for Horseman or Isom. So I think you could have either one come out first and then basically slightly modify that engine, or the specific designs are made for that engine. If you built the game in Unreal, you could just tweak it just a little bit and have it work for Horseman. If let's say the Isom Isom game that's modeled after the gameplay loop of Sifu comes out first, you tweak that a little bit and you've basically got a formula for a great Horseman game where you're just going around and 10 or so closed levels and basically just doing a bunch of beat 'em up and shoot 'em up style levels, where you're going through events that are significant to the Horseman. And of course, before we talk about having a Horseman video game in our hands, we need to have the first book, and we need to have a canon that's established behind the Horseman, so that way there's material to adapt, right? So when we talk about adaptations for the Rippaverse, you want there to be material that's out there that the fans have actually digested to be adapted. And that's a really important thing that I always want to drive home with these adaptations. So it's really interesting. I love video games. I, built a gaming computer. I have a, PlayStation, Switch, all that stuff. Been playing games my whole life. I love video games. I would love to see a Rippaverse video game, especially for the Horseman, considering how cool and violent of a character he is. That would translate really well to games, but we need to have that canon established first for it to be adapted. And then also with a Horseman game, I think the last way it could play is you could have like a Call of Duty style campaign, right? Where you've got, a first person, gameplay loop, FPS, something like Battlefield, Call of Duty, those sorts of campaigns, those single player modes, and you are playing, Horseman in the first person with the arsenal of guns and the blunt weapons and just going around shooting and smacking people to death as a way to deliver that vigilante justice to Florence Park. And I think that would be a really cool game as well. So either or I would be happy with as like a really big, meaty video game experience that's, at the blockbuster level. And like I said, if you wanted to do something that was smaller in scale, doing a game like Contra, just having it be, with a Horseman skin, basically, where you're going through, a bunch of side-scrolling levels and you're just, shooting up and, collect power-ups that have, the guns, and you've got, the bats as your base level, or you've got the pistol as your base gun, and then you get the assault rifles and everything else as power-ups, and of course you've got the melee being your base, and then you can upgrade it through power-ups the same kind of way, sort of the way that like Contra or any sort of side-scrolling shoot 'em up game works. I think having that would be a low-budget game to make. It would still be great fun, and it would be something for the fans to have as a Horseman game. And you can obviously do, like a Double Dragon for Isom or something like that, and that be a low-budget beat-em-up game, and have that work up towards making basically a video game division of Rippaverse Studios that is profitable, and they can take that profits and make those bigger projects that are more like, AA and AAA experiences for the fans. And of course, you do it like that, you can give the comic book side of things time to establish stories to adapt. And I think that's really the best way to go about it. So that's really all I have to say about that question of the day. Of course, since I love video games, I can talk about video games all day. What I am not is a horror fan. But if you are a horror fan, if you love Halloween, I know so many people do, 31 Days of Halloween is a Rippaverse event that's going on. So for every day of October, there's going to be a trivia question about the Rippaverse, and at the end, they're going to release a quiz through email. And the questions are going to be posted on social media, with the quiz being sent out as an email through that email list if I'm getting everything correct. And of course, there's a prize associated with that. So the first 4 at the time of this filming have gone out, and I'm filming this on the 5th, so the 5th will be out there. So keep an eye on the Rippaverse social media. Make sure you got all those questions stashed away somewhere. I'm making a spreadsheet with all these questions, and I'll release it on like the 30th or something like that, so people have most of the answers. So, follow me, keep, liking, commenting, subscribing. If you haven't done any of that, start doing that. And just, keep following the Braxcast, because I will keep you up to date on everything Rippaverse related, especially this. So I love the fact that they're doing, a little Halloween event, and hopefully it ends with a Blood Roof campaign announcement. That would be really cool as a way to close off the Halloween season and have that be the big campaign that pushes the Rippaverse, into that holiday season, and give something for the fans to, spend their Christmas money on, would be, Blood Roof, and then of course all the other fantastic books that have, entered into the Rippaverse canon just this year. We got Horseman and Gooding and Yaira, all having come out in 2024, and of course the first 2 issues of the Rippazine as well. And I believe that art book of Joe Bennett for Alpha Core came out as well. So there's just so much content that came out in 2024, and looks like 25 is going to be even more insane in terms of content. So it's a really nice thing that they're doing this for the fans. Definitely going to keep my eye out, not only for those questions, but what's going to get announced as a result of that. We've also got SpaceCon coming up, and there's going to be a big announcement there. So maybe it's going to be the Bloodroof campaign or the announcement of Isom Free's release date. There's a lot of stuff that the fans have some awareness of that we're waiting for, like that Bloodroof book, like Isom number 3, like some stuff that Chuck Dixon is doing. I know Mike Barron is working on some stuff. So there's so much stuff that is and under that NDA currently, and having that NDA revealed and having those announcements made are really exciting things, and it's really exciting to speculate on what it could possibly be. And I think this 31 Days of Halloween is not only a way to do something cool for the fans, especially for the fans that like Halloween and like horror and all that stuff, but also as a way to build up hype towards those upcoming announcements, right? And another way to celebrate Halloween is, of course, dressing up for the holiday. Halloween, that's a big part of it, especially in the States, going trick-or-treating. You go as various whatever, movie characters, video game characters, your classics, witch, ghosts, goblins, whatever. But there's a cosplay contest going on for the Rippaverse. So you follow social media, search up cosplay contest, you get all the specific details of that, but it's running through basically the entirety of the month of October. I think it's ending the 29th. And we've had a pretty good history of cosplay. You see, one of Yaira, you see an Isom, you see, I believe this was Krista Nova, I forget, doing a Bloodroof camp cosplay. And of course, you've got Braxcast there, or Braxwell being cosplayed there, and I believe that was seen. He showed up at MegaCon and actually met, not Mega, was it? I don't think it was Mega. Well, no, I think it was MegaCon, because MegaCon is where Horseman was announced, right? I'm getting everything mixed up. But that's a great, slew of cosplays that came out, and we've had Rippaverse cosplayers showing up at cons when Isom number 2 or Isom number 1 was, announced and doing its campaign run. Before we had even read Isom number 1, you had people cosplaying as Yaira, right? So there is a cosplay community that is very passionate. A lot of them are extremely talented in terms of making these costumes and making them accurate towards, the piece of media that they're in, whether it's a game or anime or whatever it is. And some of that community, crosses over with the Rippaverse, and they make great Rippaverse cosplay. So it's really, really nice to see that you've got the Rippaverse recognizing that they have before and encouraging that with a formal cosplay contest running through the Halloween season, which is the perfect time to do it because, like I said, people love to dress up for Halloween. People love Halloween costumes. Very, very smart thing for them to do. And I'm definitely going to keep my eyes peeled on the submissions. And of course, I will cover what I think are the best entrance into this cosplay contest on the Braxcast. Now, I've got no plans on participating myself. I'm not really a cosplayer. I did get potty painted as Kratos once, and if I remember, I'll put a picture up for you so you can see that. But I'm not a formal cosplayer. I've got no ability to tailor or do anything like that, and I definitely am not photogenic in any sense of the word. But for people who love the cosplay, for people who love to spend those hours and hours making their own costumes and stuff like that, I think that's a fantastic thing, and they're definitely gearing their certain tiers towards the cosplay. From what I remember, depending on how much of your costume you make yourself. So if you're an amateur cosplayer, you're a master cosplayer, you're definitely making those accommodations for those people in that community, which is a fantastic thing. So again, this 31 Days of Halloween, this cosplay contest are fantastic things for the fans. I absolutely love to see that, and I'm really excited to see how the community responds to these two things in the month of October. And of course, as we get closer to the release of Horseman and we see what comes out of SpaceCon, and of course, as the year ends and we enter into 2025, we're going to see the release schedule for the Rippaverse ramp up even more than it already has, and that's going to mean there's going to be a lot more exciting stuff to cover on the Braxcast, so there's going to be no shortage of Rippaverse excitement to delve into, and if you want to keep track of it all, then you better follow the Braxcast. But this episode, I've covered just about everything that I can for now, but until next week, Joker is Out.
Thank you for tuning in to the Braxcast. Be sure to like, comment, follow, and subscribe to keep up with the Rippaverse.